On this episode of the Carolina Sports Guy, we're going to dive in and look at Week 3 college football in the Carolinas. Get some early predictions on these games, all of which are on Saturday. Before we get into today's content, make sure you subscribe. It doesn't cost anything, folks. Pound that like button, hit that bell notification, be notified of future videos like these, and leave me some comments, folks. I love the dialogue. Okay, folks, kind of looking at things this week. Week 3, it's one of those trap weeks. You think you know a team pretty good, and they'll pull the wool out from under you, the rug out from under you. I shouldn't say wool, but more or less, this is kind of when we're going to start to see which teams are starting to develop, get really well, or a team can fool you, and you get these meddling teams who win after games where they look like they're going to be strong, look like they're going to be weak, and they'll make a guy come back and win, or maybe they'll fall on their face. First game we're looking at, Georgia Tech is at number 6 Clemson. Now, Georgia Tech hasn't looked all that impressive this year. In fact, they've kind of showed a little weak showing here. They got Clemson favored by 28.5 points. The game's at 3:30 on ABC. Clemson, I don't think there's any doubt they'll win this game. 38-10 the score I got. Now, my score prediction is pretty close. I got a 28-point win. The odds makers have a 28.5-point Clemson win. So I'm trying to stay under that. I'm thinking if you get 28.5 points, take Georgia Tech with a point spread. But if you're just looking at an all-out standpoint, who's going to win, Clemson's probably going to win, by the 4 touchdowns I've got down here. Now, interesting game here. ESPN at the same time, 3:30. And this is a game I'm really going to keep my eye on. It's Florida State at Wake Forest. Florida State being 1-1, I think they won their first week, and now they're sitting here in the second week to get upset by Jacksonville State. And Florida State may be 0-2 because I think they did lose to Notre Dame the first week in a very close game. But they did end up getting shocked and stunned by Jacksonville State. Now, Wake Forest has killed their first 2 games. Now, remember the first 2 games, they played Norfolk State. Try to remember who they played the first week. That might have been Georgia Southern or Georgia State. I can't quite remember. No, it was Old Dominion. They haven't had any problems with their 2 wins. But now they're playing a team who's not based in Norfolk, Virginia, and that's Florida State coming into Wake Forest. And this is kind of ironic, folks, because this is 3 weeks in a row Wake Forest has been at home. So, they're going to get ready and venture out on the road after this week. Now, the odds makers have Wake Forest winning by 6.5 points. It is a weaker Florida State team. Wake Forest does have a pretty decent team. I'm taking the upset here. I'd love to see Wake Forest win, but I don't think they're covering that 6.5 point spread. This game will be settled by less than a touchdown. And I've got Florida State winning 26-24. And the main reason why I do is because, folks, Florida State's not as good as they were in years past. And I think their back's against a wall, especially after dropping the Jacksonville State game. And being Wake has blown out 2 opponents which they should blow out. Now they're playing a little bit better competition, and they're going to be playing a team who's coming in limping and wounded. It can be very dangerous. That's why I've got Florida State winning by 2 in this game. It's going to be a hard-fought game. Now, the next game we got is at 3:30, and unless you can stream this game on ESPN Plus, you're not going to get it. It's the Elon Fighting Phoenix against Appalachian State Mountaineers. I couldn't find a point spread, but everywhere I looked, the prognosticators have it more or less as a 48-0 win for Appalachian State. I'm going to if you get anybody to give you 48 points, take Elon, folks. I think they'll cover. I've got Appalachian State winning this game 36-7. So I definitely think they're going to win, but I think they'll be double digits, but they'll kind of keep it under a 30-point win. A very evenly matched game. It's going to be on the ACC network at 4 o'clock. Is Northwestern out of the Big Ten, and they're coming in to play Duke. Duke got a win last week, toe for the first half against North Carolina A&T. They played in a tough game against Charlotte where they lost the first week in Charlotte. I've got Northwestern winning this game. Northwestern is favored by 2.5 points on the road. So if you're going to take Northwestern, they got to win by a field goal. I've got Northwestern winning 23-19 in this game over Duke. Next game, I couldn't find this game streamed or anywhere. It's East Carolina at Marshall, 6 o'clock on Saturday. Now, East Carolina's 0-2, and they played a pretty impressive first half against South Carolina. It's a game they could have won. Appalachian State, it was a double-digit loss, but it was a loss that at one time I felt a couple plays could have went one way or the other. They could have been like a 7-point loss. East Carolina's not as bad as their 0-2 record, but Marshall's 2-0. And I'm not saying Marshall hasn't played anybody, but I think, their level of competition hasn't been as strong. Marshall's favored by 9 because they're home. I'm going to say Marshall's going to win, but I'm saying take East Carolina if you're getting the 9 points, because I'm giving Marshall a 33-30 game. And this game could even go in East Carolina's favor. I come close to taking them because I'm thinking they're like a wounded animal too. They're 0-2. But the South Carolina game took a little out of their sails. It would have been a big win in program history if they could have won that game, even though South Carolina's not as good as other SEC schools. I've just got Marshall in this game, though, 33-30. Now, speaking of South Carolina, segue, South Carolina's playing at Georgia, ESPN, 7 o'clock, number 2 Georgia. Georgia's favored by 30.5. So when you look at that game, that close game in East Carolina, and East Carolina's not really a good team, South Carolina's probably one of the weaker teams in the SEC. Georgia is a powerhouse. And I've got Georgia winning this game 41-14. So I've got a 27-point Georgia win. So if you can get 30.5 points, take South Carolina. But I do think Georgia's going to win by double digits and in the 20s. All right, finally we got Virginia at North Carolina, number 21 North Carolina, 7:30 on the ACC network. Carolina's favored by 10 in this game. I've got Carolina winning by 7, so take Virginia in the points. I've got North Carolina winning on the road 31-24. Next game I couldn't find a line on. It's Furman, the Paladins out of South Carolina, FCS school, playing at NC State. So on ESPN 3, so I guess it's streamed, 7:30. I've got State winning the game because State dropped the ball against Mississippi State. I didn't see that loss happening, folks, especially losing by double digits like they did. So I think NC State's going to come back and they're going to pummel Furman, but only 35-20. I got a 15-point win. Like I said, I couldn't find any point spread or anything anywhere, folks. So I'm just kind of going out what I feel will happen. I've got the game closer than what a lot of other people think it'll be, but it will be a double-digit NC State win. Coastal Carolina, number 16 in the country, they're going to play at Buffalo. Buffalo at the MAC is not a bad school, folks. It is 12 o'clock on ESPN2. It's a 10.5-point favorite for Coastal Carolina on the road. I saw a couple of little glaring weaknesses last week, even though Coastal Carolina won. I do think, Buffalo is probably better than Kansas. Of course, this game's at Buffalo. But I've got Coastal Carolina winning 24-14, a 10-point win. Buffalo is getting 10.5 points. So you can kind of call it a push. But I'm thinking Coastal's going to win by 10 or less. So take Buffalo with the points. And finally, folks, we got Charlotte, who is 2-0, playing on ESPN Plus, 7 o'clock, against Georgia State at Georgia State. It's a 2.5-point Georgia State favor because they get 3 points at home. So they're basically saying it's an evenly matched game. Well, I'm going to go out on a limb because I'm going to say Charlotte's going to win this game. And I'm giving Charlotte the 24-20 win over Georgia State, a 4-point win. So, folks, what do you think of today's video? Do you have any upsets in this week's games? Do you think I'm right or wrong in some of these contests? Give me some comments. I love the dialogue. Pound that like button. Hit the bell notification. And make sure you subscribe, folks. It doesn't cost anything. And we'll see you next time on another edition of Carolina Sports Guy.